GLAAD, which is one of the major, LGBTQ activist groups, they just published a letter calling on Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, TikTok, and Twitter to, quote, take action against the rise of anti-trans and anti-LGBTQ hate and disinformation. It's signed by celebrities like Elliot Page, Ariana Grande, Shawn Mendes, Camila Cabello, known experts in medical science. I was particularly hard hit, as Shawn Mendes has always been my celebrity crush. To see him going woke and getting political, really disappointing. But yeah, they're calling on these platforms to meet with community leaders and address, and I think we all know that means censor, quote, content that spreads malicious lies about medically necessary trans healthcare, or accounts and content that perpetuate anti-LGBTQ extremist hate and disinformation, dehumanizing hateful attacks on prominent trans public figures, anti-trans, hate speech, including misgendering, dead naming, and hate-driven tropes. Now look, some of the things they mentioned are bad, of course. Nobody supports like harassment or bullying. But a lot of what they just said is calling to stifle debate or conversation about complex and evolving issues. Like I don't pretend to be an expert in trans healthcare, but I do know that European countries, Nordic countries, the UK they are ringing the alarm about what the proper treatment should be for trans treatments for kids. And they're saying this approach is not right. And in the US, everyone's still saying it's right. But GLAAD, it seems to me these activists are literally calling for censorship and to shut down debate. And I find that alien.
Censorship is a tool of the majority. It has always been a tool of the majority, and it always will be, because the way in which censorship works is that institutions of power are able to silence dissenters and people who hold minority views. So when you see the LGBT movement turning to censorship, exerting its influence within the halls of the largest corporate giants, the most powerful and richest corporations ever to exist in human history, which is big tech, that alone illustrates the fact that the LGBT movement has become a movement of the establishment, a movement of power, and they're seeking to abuse that power, as human beings will do when they have it, by trying to silence others. And the irony of this, of course, is that for decades in the United States, censorship was something that was weaponized against gay men and lesbian. Our art and our books and our activism all were silenced by force of law. People were forced into the closet because of that. And now they're taking that same exact weapon that was so long used against gay men and lesbians and trans people, and trying now to weaponize it against people who are critical of this movement. And that's what happens when you become a movement of the establishment. I should also say, so many of these establishment groups that are self-identified LGBT groups are really just Democratic Party activist groups.
Yes.
Just as true as of, say, the NAACP or the Anti-Defamation League, groups that purport, or NARAL, or Planned Parenthood, groups that purport to be about anti-Semitism or racism or women's rights, which in fact are nothing more than just arms of the Democratic Party. That is exactly what HRC has become. And everybody knows that, everybody sees it. And so, Bernie Sanders got in a lot of trouble in 2016 when he was asked what the establishment was, the Democratic establishment that he was constantly ranting against. And one time, Planned Parenthood and HRC attacked Bernie Sanders because, of course, they wanted Hillary Clinton to win. And he said, that's the kind of group I'm talking about. These are part of the establishment. And they absolutely are. They have the halls of power on their side, big money on their side. And when you have real power on your side, you start going to look how you can use that power to silence and destroy your enemies. And the fact that they're now appealing to big tech to prevent people from misgendering, which essentially means people who don't intellectually recognize the arguments that a man can become a woman or a woman become a man, which I'm not in favor of. I do respect people's self-identified gender as a matter of kind of courtesy and social nicety. But the idea that people who don't should be censored and silenced and booted off the internet is so dangerous, both in general and when it comes to this movement, for exactly the reason that you said, that at any moment that can easily be used against them, because they espouse ideas that only small minorities of Americans support. And when you start trying to implement censorship and you are a minority group, you're playing with fire.